So this is wild because Mastering Business Growth, today we're speaking with Alan Pilkington, but we've got someone else here, our wonderful other director, Ryan McCauley.
Hello.
He's going to be joining me from now on, so get used to it. Yeah, so this is the show. This is the show where we just chat shit with business owners, people who are running their own operation, and find out what they're doing, how it works, and how to help people. So please, Alan, in your own words, can you introduce who you are and what you do?
Yeah, so I'm Alan Pilkington. I'm the CEO and founder of the Digital Facilitators, where we help brands, retailers, businesses find the right agencies and tech solutions so they don't get screwed over in the market.
Wow. So what exactly do you do? What are the services?
Well, there's 55 elements of digital marketing, so I'll let you do the math behind that. But we're 55. Not just 55, yeah, like SEO, PPC, but then you go down to e-commerce accountants, solicitors, out-of-home digital billboard stuff, attribution modeling, data scientists, the list goes on and on. So we're just basically here to help people save time, save money, don't get their balls broken by rogue agencies, and find the right solution so everybody wins.
What's happening in that world? What are agencies doing that you are stopping them from?
Well, about 85% of agencies they're just in it for themselves, right? So you could be SEO Agency of the Year, brilliant, fantastic, congratulations. Why the hell are you selling TikTok shopping to your clients and trying to charge them for it? Like, it's just ridiculous. Stick to what you're good at. If it's not a good fit, you move on. As simple as that. I know you need to make money, but this is why there's not a lot of trust from the brands and retailers and businesses out there to work with agencies. A lot of people in-housing in 2024, and that's been a big kind of kick in the nuts for agencies out there who aren't doing as well as they thought they would.
So you think agencies have just been milking it for a long time and the party's over?
Don't get me wrong, there's some fantastic agencies out there, but like there is other ones out there like that are a bit rogue. So for example, I checked someone the other week, just straight fresh out of university, about, I don't know, 3 months, 6 months, something like that. I checked the LinkedIn history, and they have the audacity to charge someone £250 an hour for SEO support.
Wow.
I'm like, I don't even earn that, and I've been doing this shit 15 years.
Yeah. Do you know what? I'm going to jump in and say something absolutely ridiculous. What is the definition of an agency here? Is it just a business who specialise in one very specific thing?
I think that would change with everybody who asked that question to, but I'd love to know what you think.
The definition of an agency is someone who has a skill set of a particular, particular job set, let's call it, right? So if you're a web dev agency and you specialise in Magento and you're doing it 10, 15 years, brilliant. Do you want to dabble into SEO on top of that? Of course you can. Do you have the specialism for it? No. So don't sell it on, get another partner who's good at SEO, and then you look really good. But if you're adding in more and more services or becoming a full service digital agency, as some people call themselves, it's like, why are you adding in more and more just to keep everything in-house? Go out there, create partnerships, create yourself a good partner program so you can actually, bring on good clients and have them sustained, as opposed to them running off after 3 to 6 months and you're wasting everybody's time and money. It's ridiculous.
I mean, I've worked at a number of different agencies around the UK, and again, some have called themselves, don't like being called an agency. Some like to be like, we're like a partner or a factory and we just do this. And I think the full service agencies that are out there, there's this stigma attached that it's like, we don't want to let our brand talk to anybody else just in case this happens. And there's the opportunity there that you could do a worse job and rock the boat by basically, you can smash doing one aspect, and it might be SEO, but then you try doing video content and you dust off your granddad's old camera, and it's like, that's great, but so we're actually in the background talking to somebody else, and it actually might make the relationship worse than what it is.
100%. Like, look, if it's not a good fit, just move on. There's other clients out there that you could onboard quite easily, but up your game, up your skill set. I see a lot of people out there and they're like, and I'm not knocking this following statement, by the way, they're in their early 20s. They've decided to set up their own agency. That's going to take a little bit of time. My one piece of advice to people out there wanting to do that, just make sure that you upskill yourself at every single corner that you can. If you want to specialize in SEO, brilliant. But learn about learn about web dev, learn about PPC, learn about meta, learn how to do all these other different bits and pieces, because more and more people out there want one agency that can take care of everything across the board, as opposed to working with 5 or 10 or 15 different agencies, because it just doesn't work. I used to find that when I was working at Google years ago, like I was working on the Nike account, and that was just mental. I found out that Nike never stay with the same agency because they always want to chop and change their vision in regards to what good or bad looks like. So they change every kind of like 6 to 12 months. And I was shocked by that. Like, one of the biggest logos in the world
How's that worked out for him? Because
Well,
you'd think that would start messing with the message they're putting out into the world.
Not really, because they probably have different campaign managers leading in each country. They have obviously different audiences, different targets, different mindsets, different product launches. So just really depends. I just found it very, very bizarre personally. You would have thought the brand that is Nike, they would have one global agency taking care of the whole lot, but they don't. Very strange.
Dudes are literally, as you said, coming out of uni, watching one Udemy course and setting up an agency. At what point do you think you have the right to set up an agency and start going out there and billing a few grand a month to your customers?
Yeah, everybody has a right to earn a living. Look, let's face it. I personally pray that when my daughter turns 18, 13 years away, she's only 5 now, bless her. I pray that when her time comes, that she doesn't go to university, because it's probably going to be 100 grand for a degree. When I came to the UK in 2002 to study in Luton, I was paying, I think, £1,170 a year. So I paid about 5 grand for my degree in that sense. And now it's what's it now, the average degree? 40 grand?
And the rest.
30, 40 grand? It's mental.
That's not even factoring in living costs and which all get added to the bill in your debt.
Drinking, the basics. But
2-piece chicken and chips every Friday night, yeah.
Best customer. I remember there was a guy that I used to hang around with in York, and he tactically moved to Edinburgh 2 years before he was going to uni. I can't, again, don't call me on what the rules used to be, but you would get free tuition if you had lived in that city for so long in Scotland. There's so many crazy laws and stuff in Scotland compared to here. But yeah, I think he dropped out of uni halfway through because he enjoyed the lifestyle more than his course, and ran out of money basically and spent his budget. And his budget is loan straight away on beer and not that thing. But
I genuinely remember when I was about 16 when I worked at Pret a Manger, and there was a few of the guys who worked there who said they'd come over just to work and do the degree, and they're knowing they're going to pay it off, and but then if I go back to, I can't remember where they're from, they're like I think they'll basically just forget it, sort of thing. So they're
write it off.
Yeah, but it makes me think, and this is what I was going to ask you: has your degree been worth it? Does it even matter today?
No, it doesn't. My degree was worth it in a sense, because I actually trained to be a TV radio presenter, but ended up in sales. I actually, my first job from university...
Kind of like me.
Yeah. My first job from university, I ended up actually working at EasyJet head office in Luton as a PSA, passenger service agent, being one of those people at the desk or whatever the case may be. I wasn't allowed to be up in the sky, because apparently you have to be able to learn to swim 5 meters. Otherwise, you're not allowed to work on an actual plane.
5 meters? That's not that far, is it?
Maybe it's 50 meters.
Is that good enough?
50, I mean.
Maybe 50. I'm not too sure. But be able to swim, basically.
Was it 5 miles?
I can't.
EasyJet, let us know.
I can't swim, but but going back to the whole the student side of things, or people setting up their own businesses, because we deflected a little bit, but it's a case where just go and learn first. I call it learning and earning. Mm-hmm. So go learn, then earn, and that's how it works. Because when you're in your teens, when you're in your 20s, that's when you have jobs. It's when you hit your 30s onwards, that's your career. Very basic maths there. You have to spend some time learning what you want to do, learning what you're good at. It's not about forcing the issue and forcing yourself into it. I really find it strange that people are stuck in jobs that they don't like or don't earn enough money from. What's your happy point? What does happiness look like? And that's a very, very hard thing to find.
On the back of that, we were just having a conversation before we started the shoot, weren't we, with a past guest, Ken?
Ken, yeah.
And we were talking about welfare. And welfare, I think it's a lot of things, but welfare can be interpreted completely different. When I say, what's your welfare at work look like compared to you might say completely two different things. It's what's important to you. And do you know what I mean? I think when I was younger, I was like, God, I need to be a millionaire and I need to have this much money come into my account.
Yeah.
But now it's do you know what I mean? For the last couple of years, I've been traveling down to London, and we'll get on to traveling because this guy, he must have a new passport every week, or do you know what I mean, train tickets and stuff. But all the traveling stuff really kind of made me think, is this worth the salary that I'm doing? Because I'm actually not at home and spending this money with the people that I want to, because I'm in a different hotel every night and I'm going from here to here and here. And that kind of made me realise, hence kind of joining Innersound, that it's there's more to it. The welfare, it turned into something different to what it was when I was in my 20s and stuff.
I heard exactly this recently. I heard that example where it's some people get to the point where they love the job, they love the life, they're making X amount of money, and then they realise they can do it on a 3-day week. but then they'll go, well, I've got 2 more days left. That's still socially acceptable. Work 5 days a week. I'll work those extra days and make more money that they don't need. And they're then cutting into the lifestyle that they wanted to buy with that money. It's like, no, you've already got it.
Exactly.
You're there.
Yeah, exactly. It's hard to find that kind of like how to level out, right? So for me personally, as a husband and as a father, like it being on the road, like you were saying earlier on, it's exhausting, and you get to miss out on all of those kind of precious time with the family. So is it worth it for the extra like £30, £50, £100? Like what difference is that actually going to make in your life? What actually is the real difference? And it just depends, because like some people like going out all different weekends, doing whatever they want with their life. That's completely fine. But when you got other people that like rely on you, that's when you have to really kind of like power through. I just have it in my head. I got to work really hard till I'm like 55, 60, just to give my daughter a better life, because that's exactly what my parents did for me.
Yeah.
And that's what's instilled inside me. But what I don't get is, and I had this conversation with my wife actually last night when I was feeling felt a bit down yesterday, a bit fragile, I'm not going to lie, because just around this time of year, I find it strange. I had some friends who've just been let go recently from their jobs. FYI, I find it disgusting, anyone getting fired in Q4 just before Christmas. I think it's criminal. The government should have to change that. But the way I kind of work and operate is that I want to work harder so she doesn't have to.
Yeah.
And that's just how I'm programmed.
Can I say something interesting there? So I've learned a lot of, it's that thing, isn't it? Like, you know, hard times create good people, and good people create hard times, or whatever, that kind of thing. Do you find that a lot of your best qualities have come from absolutely being squeezed to hell and forcing yourself to level up? Because I think about that myself sometimes. It's like, you know, you hate the hard times because they're brutal.
Yeah.
But then they really force you to level up and get smarter, get better. Is that not something you would want for your daughter as well? To be like, of course you don't want them to have the hard times.
Yeah. Yeah, no, like, look, I always say try work smart, not hard, but I've always found during the course of my life, my career, I've always been one of the hardest, if not the hardest working people that I personally know, okay? But I don't seem to be getting as head as quickly as other people. And part of my French fucking pisses me off. Why am I working 2 or 3 or 4 times harder than other people?
I thought it was just me, honestly.
Who are coasting. And that I'm sorry, that is just not cool.
What are they doing? What are they doing that we're not?
Yeah, exactly. I just don't get it. And the thing is, the harder that you work, the less happier that you are, I promise you. And I just want to get to a place where, do I have to win the lottery? I don't know, maybe.
Do you put the lottery on?
Yes.
Okay. A lot of people say, I want to win the lottery, and go, what do you do? And
I play the same numbers every week. What
are your numbers?
I'll have to show you later. Are you going to follow now and lose lots of money like myself?
I can assure you it's not a good investment.
The lottery like £5 a line or something.
Lose 250 for Euro Millions. I don't play the normal one.
Okay.
But as I was saying, like, you know, how are people getting ahead so quickly? How are people getting so lucky? And this is not me being an asshole, but like, I've even seen people out there that you have a conversation with them, you're like, I'm sorry, you've got the intelligence of a peach. How are you a millionaire? What's happened? Because people are like, oh, look at this self-made millionaire, Stelios. Like, we go back to the EasyJet thing.
I was going to ask you if you'd met him.
No, never met him, but I met other people along the way. I met celebrities and stuff like along the way, which is pretty cool. That was the only kind of good perk of the job. But going back to the Stelios thing, when he was 21 years old, his dad gave him $1 million or $2 million, whatever it was, to buy his first plane. Self-made millionaire, my ass.
Yeah, very good starting point. If we had $1 million to start with now, it's like, Jesus, man, we could outsource this, that.
Exactly.
Streamline.
Whereas you look at like Al and Julie Barrett, right? If you know who they are, they're the owners of Grenade, right? The protein bar, right? Mm-hmm. So they started out with 50 quid. So I'll openly say that's self-made. Right?
Yes, because you are required to be tactical in that case.
You're starting off with 50 quid. Like when my parents got married, they used their wedding gift money to buy my dad's first sander. My parents' first house was actually a mobile home. Not many people know that.
All right, well.
They lived in a mobile home where my oldest brother, David, his first bath was in that sink of the mobile home in the kitchen.
Wow.
That's how you used to bathe them. So the fact of the matter is like that, you know, you'll always, in some way, shape or form, have the opportunity. Because you look at the Al Barrett story, like I said, they start off with 50 quid, but there was still money there. Where did 50 quid come from? Obviously they saved it, but that's what it is. You need some kind of starting capital to do anything. Whereas you have people like, you know, this is no disrespect, he does a great job with Help Bank and stuff, but Simon Squibb, like, goes around, what's your dream? You know, you shouldn't be renting your house or having a mortgage. You need to buy it outright. Okay, cool. But how am I going to do that? And I know he's saying he's teaching everyone to quit their jobs and follow their dreams. But honestly, I don't know if he'll ever listen to this episode, but if he did that, I think that would destroy the world. It really would. If everyone quit their jobs, all the economies will be crushed. People there trying to fling their next best idea. Oh, do you want to buy my extra large baggy jeans? But like they'll also shrink down if you put them in a tumble dryer at this size, at this temperature.
Don't go out in the rain.
Don't go out in the rain or whatever. Or this hair gel where you go out in the rain and it goes into your eyes, and I promise it won't burn. It won't burn your eyeballs. Yeah, right. Cheers, Dax Wax. But that kind of stuff, do you know what I mean? So like, it's like, don't give people false hopes. Give them support, give them guidance, but don't give them false hope, because
it's selling the dream, isn't it? It's one of the few markets in the world. Do you know, I want to agree with something you said there. I too know a few people who are doing insanely well, make a lot of money, and they don't seem to know much. And it makes me think, though, is it wrong for us to learn all these silly things that apparently don't equate to money? Have we got it wrong? Is it the curse of wanting to know and understand everything, but not directly the few big dominoes that actually make money?
Yeah. Well, look, I think it's the case where no matter what you do, you have to have a slice of luck along the way.
Yeah,
agreed.
It's that simple. You need to have an idea. You need to do your due diligence. You need to look at the market before you take a deep dive. Lots of people say, "Screw it, fuck it, just do it, just get going," and that's cool to a certain degree. But if you launch something that looks cool as a brand, for example, then someone will go, "Do you know what? That's a great idea, but the branding's really shit. I got a great idea. Let's stick our own format on it. Let's rebrand it ourselves, relaunch it as something else, and screw that person who came up with the idea in the first place, and we'll go show them how to make millions from it." And all of a sudden, your hopes and dreams are shattered because someone else got your idea and made it better. And that happens day in, day out. We're not reinventing the wheel here. We're taking other people's ideas and making it better. Look at let's hop to another brand for a second. Look at McDonald's. Have you ever seen the movie The Founder?
Amazing film.
I've not seen it yet.
Wow.
I need to. Everyone keeps telling me.
Wow.
I've seen clips from it.
It's based on a true story, and the story is about Ray Kroc, who basically helped the McDonald's brothers to kind of like, grow and get bigger, but then he steals their idea, essentially, kicks them out, gives them a check for $1 million each, I think, whatever year it was. But he started the McDonald's Corporation in I can't remember the year, but when he was 54. I'm pretty sure it's 54. That's insane. So that just goes to show you don't need to be 18 with the biggest ideas. You can be any age that you want. You can be 100 years old if you want, but just do what you want to do with your life, but don't work yourself to the bone and regret missing all that time with your friends and family and enjoying life. Because you're not here for a short time, you're here for a good time. There's no point in just working the whole time.
I mean, it's that thing, again, this isn't the actual quote, but it's kind of like, what good is money in the bank when you're not here to spend it?
Yeah.
So it's great that you can say, I mean, I've got this thing around, being from York, all my mates say I'm the tightest man in Yorkshire. I don't believe that. Like, I was going
to make a very inappropriate joke.
Go on.
I don't even need to. I think it's implied.
I don't know where you're going with that.
I know exactly where he's going with that. I'm not saying anything.
We'll talk
Everyone
about
says.
Well, we'll see if there's any comments on this episode from that, because, yeah.
Honestly, everyone's still...
But anyway, going back to that, but didn't Colonel Sanders, how old was he when he came up with the recipe for KFC?
Yeah,
and again, it just
money.
shows, I mean, I'm getting on now, I'm mid-30s, and, do you know what I mean?
Isn't it silly that we think that's old?
Yeah.
It's because it's like you said, we see all these 18-year-olds like, how I made 10 million in 1 month with fuck all knowledge.
Well, this is why this is going to be I work in the digital marketing space, and this is going to be a really bad line to say, but I think social media has fucked up this world. It's destroyed everything good about the world. I'm sorry, because you have all people doing, oh, do you know what? I'm going to set this person on fire with all my friends. Yay, I'm going to rob the shop. Or do you know what? I'm going to go into OnlyFans and make 54 million by showing my bits and pieces and whatever. Like the youth of today is just so disillusioned with what the real world looks like. It's ridiculous. And I always said, and I'd love for it to happen. Maybe this is the start of it. Maybe we can start like get something on the go for a national day where I wanted to do a day and called it Be Social. As in every social media company in the whole world turns its shit off for one day for 24 hours. So people can put down their goddamn phones and be sociable.
That was amazing. That's
a great idea.
Class
for
idea.
One day only. Now, whether that's Christmas Day, whether it's Good Friday, whatever. They won't want to lose the money, but at the same time, the world will have a day when they can actually like interact with each other properly. Like, I'm 44 years old. The 90s was by far the best decade ever.
Great. I just say you don't look
Thank you.
that age.
Thank you. 54, 64?
I was going to say, how do you know I'm making an assumption it's lower, but you look good for your age, mate.
Thank you. I'll buy you dinner later. KFC?
Yeah, that's good.
But yeah, so like, as I said, I just think that social media has really rotted the minds and brains of this entire planet in some way, shape or form. I know China are trying to put a hold on it, how much consumption you can have, this, that and the other. And to be fair, I think something that needs to be done about it, because you're sitting there scrolling, and I'm the same. Like, I only downloaded TikTok about 8 months ago, just because lots of people are on it, and obviously I'm thinking about launching a business that might involve TikTok live shop, shop live, and then you're just scrolling. Next thing you know, like, you've just wasted an hour and a half of your time looking at nothing. Pick up a book, go play a game, go and get some fresh air, go for a walk.
Talk to somebody.
Yeah. Or even go to somebody that looks like they need a fucking hug and give it to them.
Yeah. I mean, I get this, again, you'll know from traveling, but on the trains going down to London, I mean, sometimes on the underground you don't get signal, but it used to be like, I remember seeing a picture of everyone with their heads in papers, and now it's like just heads down. Guarantee there's going to be some sort of medical condition in like 10 years, or it might be already now, of people having bad necks.
Yeah.
Dude, chiropractor I go to. Literally, he said if it wasn't for the modern living, I'd be out of business.
No.
I saw it, all his books on his shelf, and it's all about modern living and like how it's making everyone like that and dodgy necks and all that.
Have you seen, I think you can tell who plays video games by how far their thumbs bend back.
Yeah.
Like,
people who suck their thumbs by the different sizes.
That's why you can change everything on the controllers now. But yeah, if you look at somebody, I don't know how much you can see that.
Yeah.
But I mean, I don't game loads. COVID, I was like a professional Call of Duty player. Come out of retirement now, back to work. But I was looking at somebody the other day, and they're like, it was Lauren, and she was like, her thumb was so straight. But yeah, all these little things. Off subject completely. Back to KFC.
Back to KFC.
Yeah, but that's what it is. But I think I'd love to see that happen. A Be Social Day where the entire social media or all platforms, whatever, turned off for 24 hours only. Not on Black Friday, obviously, because then the world would melt.
Obviously, yeah. Do you know, Ken said something really interesting earlier, if you recall. He was talking about, you know, how social media creates these false expectations of, look how good my life is. But then I said, well, hasn't everyone got wise to that now? And we all understand that. He said, yes. But people, what they do now is they go on with the intention of, I want to get 100 likes. So they still have that same kind of self-indulgent, almost narcissistic goal. But now they go, what it's really like being a boss or a CEO or whatever. And it's just them like that, glued to the laptop. So it's not as glamorous what they're putting online now, and they're sort of revealing it, but they're still getting that dopamine hit of, look at everyone watching me.
So much fake stuff though. And even on LinkedIn, all these fucking engagement pods. It's like, look, my post is 3 seconds old. I've got 132,000 likes. I've got 50 million reposts, and I got 400,000 comments, and I just made £30 million. No, you didn't.
That's a lie, dude.
No, you didn't. So do you know what I did, right? And someone's going to steal this idea when they see the episode. I went on to ChatGPT, and I wrote in there, I said, right, create me a different version of LinkedIn that bans and bots and polices all of these engagement pods to ban everything so it's nice and clean. And I came up with a whole business plan. It started giving me coding and stuff and whatnot. And then it called it True Connect.
Wow. That's very good. Do you know, I want to ask you something. Have you seen recently lots of these influencers on LinkedIn who've got like 70,000 followers and all this and that? A lot of them like, oh no, I woke up today and it's deleted 20,000 real connections. And I'm there thinking, you sure they weren't just like bots or whatever?
Yeah.
I don't know. Do you guys know? Is that a thing? Would it really have just deleted real connections? Several thousand?
Yeah, there was lots gone. I think I lost about 800-900, something like that. But then because all the complaints the very next day came back. I think someone tried to create an algorithm to go ahead and try and do that. Right. But then probably wasn't coded properly. And that's why I effed up. And then there were so many complaints, like hundreds of thousands of them online. And then they said, shit, let's just reverse it for now and then make sure that like if we do it again in the future. But also, what gives them the right to do that? Warn people. Make sure everyone gets a message. I pay £55 a month for LinkedIn Premium That's like £600-700 a year.
Oh,
That's
it's
like
a
almost
good whack of money, man.
That's
Yeah.
almost a mortgage payment. So for that kind of money, you would think that I would have a cleaner feed, let's call it. You think I'd get notifications about this kind of stuff, but they need to sort their act out big time. Such a big platform, and let's face it, it only really accelerated because of the pandemic.
Yeah.
That and Zoom and whatever other tools out there that people really use every day now. Teams is shit, by the way. I hate Teams.
Yeah, we don't use it. Hey, what made you transition fully into sales then? Like, where'd that come from?
Birth.
Right.
So I've always been, my family had as I said, my dad created a business back in Ireland. So a catering company where everything other than food, they rented out or whatever. So business has always been instilled in me from a very young age. We also used to have family like hot dogs and sweet machines and ice cream vending machines down to Newry Pier in Dublin as well. So I've always been good at maths. I've always been addicted to counting money and that kind of stuff, to the point where my mum used to get confused, like, if there was something wrong with me, because like someone would order some bits and pieces going back to like 1990, 10 years old, or even 8 years old, even younger. People order some like products and stuff like crisps and Coke and 2 hot dogs, whatever. But as I was going along, I was counting it all up, getting all the change ready, and if they hand me a tenner, I'd already have to change the hand to them. And they're like, is this like the son of Rain Man? 37, 37. And I've just been kind of like addicted to numbers and addicted to money during the course of that time. I'm not addicted to money in the sense where I need to have loads of money, otherwise I'm going to die. I just like figures. That's just how I operate.
Money is a fascinating concept, because I'm the same. I totally recognise that I don't need to be a millionaire.
Yeah.
Would I like to be one? I mean, it wouldn't hurt. We'll see. I'm sure I'll have a good time.
But would you be happier if you got 100 million tomorrow? Would you actually be happier? You don't.
Probably not. I'd probably still do the same stuff. I think I do know what matters in life. I hope I do anyway, and I try to act that way.
I said to someone last week, just before you go on to your next question, I said to someone last week, and I've been feeling like this for years, I find the concept of money weird. It's a piece of paper or a piece of metal that you exchange for other things, and it's in a digital world as well. I just find the whole concept of money mind-boggling weird. As strange as that sounds, it's like, why am I able to give this piece of paper to someone, but I can get all of your arcade thing in the corner, some of your cameras and stuff here, whatever, because it's a €5,000 note or whatever, it doesn't matter, or a piece of Bitcoin. But like, whereas someone else can't even go buy a carrot with a different piece of paper. Do you know what I mean?
It's the universally accepted, tangible value exchange, isn't it?
But it's just weird. And going back on the money thing, I remember I was on a holiday in Tunisia a few years ago. They don't allow any of their money to leave the country, and they check you at the airports. So you're not allowed to take any coins, any notes or anything with you from Tunisia.
Did not know that.
Because they're trying to keep all of their currency like literally on the island.
Is it still cash there, loads?
Yeah. But anyone's a first world country, in the next 5 years, you'd be lucky to see a note again. But just to finish up on money, I know I keep talking, but we got someone to unblock our drains the other week. I know boiler man came around, and I gave him 80 quid for the job, and it was a 50, 20 and a 10, because I had a £50 note for whatever reason to get rid of it. And then he's like, wow, I've never seen one of these. I'm like, what? He goes, how old are you? He goes, I think he said he was 30 or something. He's never seen a £50 note in his life.
That's really
So
weird.
it just goes to show that like there's so many different differentiations of people out there that actually haven't seen certain sizes of notes or certain currencies or whatever.
Well, the amount of shops that don't accept £50 notes.
Yeah.
This is so I've got a family up in Glasgow, and you get Scottish money.
Yeah,
and
they
you
hate
come
it.
back down, and York's really bad for it.
Yeah.
Oh, don't accept that. It's like it says sterling on it. It's money.
Yeah.
And nah. It's like, okay, I will go next door and buy my bottle of water from there instead, or whatever. It's
but
mad.
50s they won't. When I first moved to the UK, my dad gave me a couple of £100 to start off at university life to go have a bit of fun or whatever. But he gave me 4 50s. And there was no one that would take it. So I had to go to actually create a bank account and go in and change it at the bank. Because all the student places like for 50p a drink, like fuck around,
I was going to
50p.
say 50p or a pound for a pint. You're like,
They're like, no, we don't accept it. It's like, why? It's currency. You're going to go to the bank in a few days. It's like, no, we don't accept it. I was like, well, what's the point in having a £50 note in the first place? But then you actually look at the euro side, you're going to have up to a €500 note.
is that how high it goes up?
Yep.
I've only been to Ireland once, and I can't wait to go back, but I did not know that.
Ireland, the euro's all around Europe, dude.
Oh yeah, not that. But I don't know.
It's just the fear of it being fake, isn't it?
But yeah, no.
And €500 in Ireland wouldn't get you far. About 3 Guinnesses and a bag of chips.
Do you know, I can't even
Potatoes.
I can't even like give my daughter like
My
cash
taters.
anymore. I can't give Ava cash. I have to like, well, because what's she going to do with it? Now, like, she's got a tablet and it's hooked up to my Amazon, and but she can't make purchases, but she'll add stuff to the basket and then come downstairs and pitch me.
Is that your daughter?
Yeah.
How old is she?
She's 10.
Oh, bless you.
Yeah, can't give her
I
cash.
feel like
It's
you feel
no
like
good.
one of the dragons sat on the sofa, like going on.
Oh yeah, I analyse a pitch and I'll correct her and be like, that's not good.
Isn't there a kid's debit card now called George Card or something where like
Is that a thing?
I can't remember, but there's a special kids credit card thing or a debit card thing that you can actually get so they can earn money doing chores around the house, and then you can top it up and they got their own card they can tap and buy stuff.
That's genius. I'm going to look into that.
I think schools implemented something like that, didn't they? I know Joe Rowe did it. I'd already left there again, showing how into my mid-30s I am, but my wife, she was still there when they had done it all up, and they had like a system you had to like upload. But they started out, you had to take cash, then they'd put it on and they'd swipe it in the reception or something. But I'm pretty sure they like roll stuff out, but it's good. And one thing I always think, it's like the education around money and stuff when you're at school, there wasn't enough. It was just kind of like...
No, it's what adults spoke about.
Yeah.
Which is criminal, really.
You kind of, for me anyway, I felt like I was chucked into being an adult quite late, and I was just running around enjoying myself and spending my wage. And then it was like, oh shit, I actually need to start. Why have I not been saving for the last couple of years to buy some shoes? Not even like an house. It's like,
I think a lot of us got into that trap, didn't we? Do you know what? You said earlier, so it's like when you provide your services, it's sort of like figuring out what people want as a lifestyle and helping them reverse engineer that.
Yeah.
Tell me a bit about that process.
Well, in regards to TDF?
Yeah.
So
you start with a new client. How does it look?
Very simply, it's a conversation like this. I just go in, grill them, see what they want and how they want it, see what their timelines are. I've already built out my partner program over the years, so these are people already vetted. So someone might go to me, okay, I want someone for, we'll just use the topic for SEO and PPC, for example. Okay, cool. So do I just give them one agency to speak to? No. I give them 3 people per segment who are vetted that are very good at SEO or very good at PPC. If they do both and excellent, I'll recommend them. If not, then it might be 6 different agencies, 3 for SEO and 3 for PPC. Then after that, then I'll be on the calls and so on and so forth to make sure it's the right thing, the right timelines. I'll arrange everything with them saying, okay, I'll call up agency A. Right, I've got this client who wants to spend 55 grand roughly over a 12-month period. This is what they want and how they want it. Do you have the capacity, skill set, and does that match up with what you want to, take on board in regards to retainers? Perfect, Alan. Thank you very much. But it's not just on the skill set match. I go a bit deeper than that. I go on a personality match as well. Because the churn rate during the course of my career anyway has been about 26, 27%, meaning inside the first 90 days, people will leave their contract because they just don't get on. Now, whether the client's an asshole or the agency tech partner is an asshole, it does happen quite a lot and quite frequently. Mm-hmm. So I'm really trying to battle and kind of reverse engineer all that, because there's so many agencies out there that have what we call unqualified outleads, right? Sitting there, tens of thousands, millions of pounds. There's like something like 5.62 billion in 2023 that wasn't really touched because they don't want to go to their competitors and say, oh, here, would you like a lead? I'll grow your business so you can kill mine. Doesn't work like that. So I want people to give me all of their unqualified out leads and I can repurpose them elsewhere for them. But they'll go, okay, Alan's making money here. Why the hell would I do that? I offer 25% of every damn penny I make in return for that. And the biggest contract we've done was a 435 grand digital PR campaign. Someone else gave me the actual lead. So I'll openly say on camera, hello. That was 22 grand that we made, but I gave her 5.5 grand for the privilege for 7 hours work, whatever.
So you're effectively a connector.
Yeah, someone called me something really weird, which it was a compliment, but strange at the same time. A digital Cupid?
Digital Cupid?
I'm like, yeah, kind of, but no.
I can just picture it now, your like logo.
bit more top level than that, but like it's not just the TDF side of things. I also consult for other companies as well to help them come into the market, whether it's partnerships, lead gen, sales, commercial, event management, whatever.
Yeah, I know we briefly touched on it. How broad is the spectrum of agencies that you work with and represent?
Yeah, it's across the board really. So one of the companies I work for, which is a tracking attribution modeling solution called Revend out of Belgium. So they didn't really have time to come over to the UK every 5 seconds. So the CEO gave me a trial for 6 weeks, I think, mid-May to end of June, and he wanted like 10 solid leads between partnerships and brands to really alleviate his situation and start building out that kind of funnel. I was like, okay, cool. So by the end of the 6 weeks, we had another conversation. Went to a lot of events, which they paid for, so very grateful for that. Got a lot of great connections out of that. It's like, okay, but I failed. I didn't get my 10. How many do you think I got?
15.
Oh, it's got to be a trick question. It has to be over 10. Let's say 50.
Oh, 50?
Hey, it has to be shocking, right?
He's good, but he's not that good.
38.
Oh, hey, wow. I was closer.
Yeah, to be fair.
So you owe him some KFC.
You can have my chips.
Wow, that's great.
But it's not about the big numbers. It's a case of like, I think building relationships is exactly like conversion touch points when it comes to people. It takes between 5 to 8 touch points before someone else trusts you to convert to take that next stage, whether that's a partnership or whether that's working with you as a brand or as a retailer to use your services in any capacity. These days, people are a lot more stringent. I can't just walk into a bar and walk up to you and go, hey, how's it going? What do you do? It's like, oh, well, I've got this brand. I'm looking for SEO support. Oh, I'm an SEO specialist. I can do it for you. Cool. Here's a contract. Those days are gone. They're done and dusted.
Was that ever the case? If so, we missed out big time.
Yes and no, because I remember once I had never met someone when I worked at one of my old companies, and I had an hour-long meeting booked. And you think, right, I'm going to go do a deep dive audit of their account, presented it back to them. Normally takes 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, can take up to 2 years in some cases, depending how big it is. Mm-hmm. And it was really weird because we finished the meeting after 30 minutes, and then 50 minutes later, the contract was already signed. So inside the hour meeting, the contract was already signed after 45 minutes with 15 minutes spare. And that to me was like, wow, anything's possible.
Mm-hmm. Do you know, it's funny you say that because a lot of people expect deals to take a lot longer than that. Do you think people prepare to walk into meetings thinking, this could be signed by the time we leave? Because I don't really have that mindset. I maybe should.
Well, yes and no, because you don't want to come across too cocky or too arrogant. You really just want to drill into people, have that bonding and rapport. Bonding and rapport is key because people buy from people. You could have the best product in the entire world and the shittest sales team, and do you know how much money you're going to make? Nothing. Very, very, very little. Or else you have the best sales team in the world sending shit to the sheep for all I care, and you'll make millions. But I'm a very kind of like proud negotiator, let's call it. I've turned down business loads of times because if it's not the right fit, I don't want someone wasting money just so my bosses can line their pockets and buy themselves a shiny Porsche or something like that. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That doesn't sit well with me because you're damaging people's livelihoods and you're killing the trust inside the industry as well.
I was going to say,
that's not cool.
That's so valuable to somebody though.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, back when I was like working for agencies, I feel like sometimes new leads and clients would kind of test you. They say, oh, we need this project doing, an application or whatever. You've done a little bit of research. You look at what they've got currently and you go, do you actually need an app? It's going to cost you $250K to build an MVP. You only need a web app. And they go, okay, we appreciate you being honest. They already know what they kind of need or they've already had conversations.
Just trying to see if you're trying to take all the money you can.
Because it's funny that because we said we've got 250K as a budget and it's 248K.
Yeah.
Oh, that's strange, isn't it? And then they go, actually, look, the bigger part of this project is actually this is just the tip of the iceberg. We wanted to test you, and actually, if you do a good job on this small project, you've just opened up. We've got
Pandora's box,
yeah, and like you kind of mentioned, like sales and relationships and partnerships have changed so much.
Massively.
And people aren't stupid anymore. People have got a LinkedIn profile. They can quickly look you up and see the stuff that you're posting. They can see the companies you've been working for, the experience you've got. And you look at it and you think, actually, I come across as a real asshole on my LinkedIn profile. Or I come across as just a genuine person that's building relationships, helping people out. And that goes a hell of a lot further, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. You have to nurture those relationships as well. It's not like just a case of like, oh, look at me, I've got 400,000 LinkedIn friends, which will never speak to any of them. So sometimes if I get a spare moment, I will like drop a message to loads of recent connections saying, hey, sorry, I've been a complete asshole, been really busy, we connected, never spoken. If you're ever interested, I'll have a cup of tea. Whereas the other people, when I connect with, like, they just data dump. So, hi, I'm so-and-so and I do I'm
the best at this.
I'm the best at this. If you ever need support, this is my price range. Here's a PDF. I'm like, buy me dinner first, nurture me first. And I proactively go out of my way sometimes and respond to messages. Some people say, fair play, thanks very much, but this does work well for us. Cool. Just know your audience. You got to A/B test some stuff. That doesn't work for everybody if you want to generate more business. I try to give positive feedback. Whereas other people are like, someone said, oh, Alan, what are you doing these days? Tell us everything what you're doing, ? I'm like, okay, I don't know who you are. So for now, it's top secret, but I hope you're well and happy Christmas. Mm-hmm. And they replied, I'm such and such religion. I don't celebrate Christmas. Enjoy your secrets. And I was like, wow, that's rude. So I was like, well, thanks for that. That's really rude. Bye-bye. Waving hand emoji, block. Good luck. I don't need people like that in my life.
Do you know what's interesting? You said earlier how important it is to have good relationships. Mm-hmm. What do you think makes you so good at building relationships with people? Is there anything you are intentionally doing? Or it's come down to, do you know what, I'm just a good guy. I'm genuinely curious about people.
I wouldn't even say I'm a good guy. Sometimes I can be an asshole. I was
going to say, I thought you were an asshole.
I can openly admit that. Like, no one's perfect, right? So sometimes you have good conversations, sometimes you have bad conversations. But two things I'll never do. I'll never like manipulate anyone in a sense where it's like stealing money from them, like force them into a contract or into a position where it's going to like be detrimental to their business. And I'm just like, Ryan will tell you, he's known me a while now. I'm just very brutally honest. Some people love it. Some people hate it. You can't please everybody. That's just life. Stop trying to be something that you're not. Just be you. If people like you, and if you're genuine, cool. If people know that you're a bit of an introvert or extrovert or a bit of an asshole or whatever, then that's fine. But then they know who you are. They know that's what you're like. It's like something really weird even happened yesterday in the pool hall, right? This is really, really weird. So I was practicing pool because I play on Tuesday nights, and then this other guy's playing snooker, and I said, like, do you want a game? And then he's like, no, I'm okay. My friends are coming. I said, out of interest, what's your highest break? And he said something like 38. Oh, so that's really cool. And then we're talking about
what good.
Yeah. 38's decent. And then because 147 maximum, right, if you're professional. And then I said, oh, well, mine's 72, which I got years ago back in 96. He goes, oh, really well done. He goes, oh, dart is more my thing. I've had a 9 darter. And I've just met the guy, and all I simply said to him was, how close were you standing to the board? And he fucking went mental. He was like, under his breath going, oh my God, wanker. I said, okay, it's only a joke. Chill out. He goes, no, I gave you instant kudos when you told me you got a 72, and then you brought me right down when I told you I got a 9 darter and you weren't supportive at all.
You weren't supportive.
And I'm like, but he might have been having a bad day. Maybe he's gone through some mental stuff. We don't know, right? But I was just like, okay, chill out. It was only a joke. I'm sorry. And just left it at that. And he's still muttering to himself. And I was like, this guy's going to lump me in a minute or something. Like, what the hell?
At least you had a pool cue in your hand.
And some balls to throw, yeah.
Yeah, darts.
yeah. But like,
he has to get really close to hit that 9 darter, doesn't it?
But like 9 darter is a hard thing to do. But like, since we're here having a discussion, then I'll ask both of you guys, what's more difficult, a 147 snooker or a 9 darter?
Oh, I don't know.
I said the 9 darter.
Why? It's 9 darts. In snooker, you have to hit like 36 balls into tiny pockets.
Yeah, I just think, to be fair, normally when I play darts, I'm in the pub, so that each sip I take, I get worse and worse.
You know, that should also be criminal. A bunch of piss dudes
throwing out. Yeah. Which would you say is easier?
I'd say a 147 is harder because I play snooker as well, and on professional tables, it's really difficult. Like, don't get me wrong, a dartboard's really hard. I think the distance from dartboard's probably from like me to you, but to be able to like on a 12-foot table to hit a mad shot and then to actually continuously be on the red then black around that area, it's really difficult. Just watch Ronnie's 147s and then try and pot 2 balls in a row yourself. Whereas I'm terrible at darts, but I've thrown a few into the 60s before, but I'll never get close to a 9 darter in my entire life. But I think because you have to do more and hit more balls versus 9 darts, I think a 147 is more difficult.
Ryan, were you there at Hollywood Bowl when because I'm terrible at pool, and I just mysteriously was excellent for one game.
Oh, did you nail 200 or something?
I don't know what happened, but I was about 15 pints in, and all of a sudden I was incredible for just one game, and that was it, done. It's obviously total fluke, but
I think I was like eating nachos
there.
at that point.
You were there, but you were balls deep in nachos, weren't you?
Nachos.
It was a good day, that, actually. I'll tell you what we've got to do, though. We need to get a dartboard for the studio. And next time I speak to you, I'm like, watch this. I'm going to set it up and you're like, congrats, mate.
Yeah, of course. What are you working on at the minute, then?
Well, just planning for 2025. I'm due to sign a few contracts this week because I do a fractional head of growth for whoever wants me, in a sense, for a variety of companies. So anything commercial, so anything to do with lead gen, sales, processes with the CRM system.
And is that something
events.
you personally do, or do you outsource that to agencies?
No. It's something I personally do. So I think by the time I've got an event tomorrow, I think I got one more after that. So I would have done about probably just under 100 events this year, because I've traveled quite extensively. The worst I did was one day I did 3 in 3 different locations, and that killed me. I was really like, after I wasn't even drinking, I just had the shakes. I was just like, oh no. But exciting projects for next year as well. In Q1, finally launching my own ecom business as well, signing all the T's and Q's and dotting all the I's next week with some other partners. So that's really exciting to get that finally up off the ground after 4 years of waiting because of the pandemic. But we're past all that now.
For any company starting to improve their commercial side, can you give us some practical tips? Like, where would you start when you walk into a company? What's the first thing you look at?
Where all the money's going. So I've literally been at companies where they're paying extortionate fees for certain like internal systems.
So you plug up the holes first.
Yeah. So you got to trim the fat, see what's what. If it's a case where they've ever asked me to kind of like, something I haven't done yet, but I'd be willing to do as well, is I've always wanted to go into a company under the radar. So I'd go in as a staff member and then finding out who's doing well, who's doing not, become friends with the team, yada, 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 yada. And then say like, right, this person you need to promote, here's why. This person needs a bigger salary, here's why. This person is a massive pain in the A. You need to get rid, and here's why. Oh, but they're really good at sales. Yes, cool, but everyone else around them isn't because they're just damaging the culture. Culture is key. Happiness is key. Like I remember when I was working years ago, what I did was we created a pod system because we had about 30 or 40 sales staff. So at one point, every quarter, I'd get a different pod under me, 7, 8, 9 people. So I create my own contract. I get them to sign a contract of an agreement what we're going to do with each other for that 90 days. And if they hit certain KPIs, I just give them bonuses from my bonuses out of my own pocket, not the company one. If someone had a really good week, I might give them a crate of beer or cider if they like something like that. If they don't drink, cool, bring them out for lunch or whatever. And then I used to give out hundreds of pounds every single month. So very soon, every single person in there wanted to not work with me, but they wanted to work for me as well in regards to crap. Alan's paying more bonuses than the actual company itself. So, because they're making me money. So I thought it was only fair. So I used to spend thousands of pounds of my own money. Or sometimes I'd randomly order like, I know, £100 worth of Dominoes or whatever out of my own cash. I remember once we were off-site at an event and the boss wasn't around, and off-site, you know, it's supposed to go through the company, right? You're supposed to take out people for a bit of dinner, 30 quid a head or whatever. So I took 4 or 5 of us out. We're off-site in Birmingham at an event, and the bill was like 180 quid. It's like, oh, people are like, oh, I don't really have much money. It's like, don't worry, I'll cover it. But I kept the receipt, and I went to the CEO and said, right, I'd like to put this through because we're off-site, yada, yada, yada. We worked really hard the last few days. And, you didn't ask me permission, did you? I was like, you're a fucking douche.
Like, come on. Yeah.
Like £180 for a multi-million-pound business, we're off-site, and you're not willing to do anything at all. When you're off-site, you're supposed to know. But he'd happily go to the bar with his drinking buddy from work and put money through and get sloshed instead, rather than feeding his troops. Like that's one of the many reasons why this past person I work for, I was like, no, I don't want to work for you anymore.
So trim the fat, tidy up company culture. What's next?
Reward, progress people, how they're supposed to progress. Just make sure you have all your processes in order. Make sure your CRM is nice and clean and clear at all times. Making sure your pipeline is nice and clean at all times. Making sure that any broken relationships, just double check, can they be fixed? Some people might have said no, but they might say yes to a different voice.
Yeah, really good point.
Look at the decks. Look how long the presentations are. So another previous company I worked for, they had like 120 slides in their presentations.
120?
Taking 3 hours, 4 hours at a time. I'm like, this is great information and it's good information, don't get me wrong, but does it need to be that long? Does someone have half a day in their life to read through that? And that's why I was saying earlier on, one of the reasons why I set up TDF, imagine if you sent out an RFP and you had to do that 23 times. And go through the process. This is why my vetted agency partners and tech partners and freelancers are there to help you because I've already done all that work for you. And I didn't mention earlier on about TDF, the brand or the retailer business, I don't charge them a single penny.
Okay.
So my service is actually free.
So do you get like a cut from the deal?
At the other end.
Yeah. That's good for everybody.
So I charge 15% off the deal at the other side.
That's really good though to get the process started, because I think so many people probably sit on
I've thought about doing that before,
Spent months and months and months and months going through shit that sometimes doesn't even happen or go through. And then they have to wait another year to get signed off by the bosses. The amount of marketing experts out there that wear so many hats, it's ridiculous. Sometimes when I see a marketeer, I'm like, all right, show me your bag. And they're like, what? It's like, come on, open your bag. How many hats you got in there? Is it black? Is it white? Is it grey? What are you wearing? Something multicolored? Something like rainbow style? What's going on today?
Do you know, that's actually a really good idea, to effectively work for free and then take a maybe larger commission than is standard, because you get to utilize people's infrastructure.
Yeah.
It's like building a company from scratch, but you don't actually have to.
Yeah.
You can just make tweaks. It's a really good idea.
And the funny thing was, someone said to me a while ago, ooh, 15% a bit high. I was like, okay, that's cool. Can I ask you a question? They're like, yes, of course. What's the question? It's like, how much commission do you pay? Well, we pay 10%. That's why 15% a bit high. So that's cool. So that 5%, is that really the sticking point? Yeah, that is. Okay. What's your base salary? 60 grand. Cool. Okay. So give me 60 grand and 10% then. I'm not asking you for a base. If you don't close them, it doesn't cost you anything.
Yeah. I'm giving you free money. I just want some of that free money.
It's free leads as well. You know what I mean? But this is why people are vetted and why people want to work with me. So I have this really weird thing where, like, after 1,000 days or 2,000 days of TDF, because I work with it on the side, because a lot of my time is on the consultancy side. What I'd love to do is I'd love to get investment from someone to really build it out, get a couple of people so they can take care of the model, let's call it. But in 1,000 days or 2,000 days, I'd love every single company that's an agency or tech partner or freelancer in the country, give me all of their dead leads. We can re-vet them and put them out elsewhere. And the very next stage, you know what happens? You all have fresh leads that are exactly your ICP, that exact the timelines, the exact retainers, the exact mindset, the exact personality. It's a match. It's kind of like digital Tinder.
Well, what's interesting with that, again, like you say about that extra 5%, so many people say, and you see people post about it on LinkedIn, that how important time is.
Mm-hmm.
And
it's our most precious commodity.
Yeah, but if you've got a staff member, I mean, one question we get at like the studio is like when people start their own, it's like, because we didn't do the core package or done for you. So I essentially do all the outreach, find guests, source them, book them.
It's like fractional business development, really, isn't it? Filling the pipeline.
Yeah. And one of the conversations that people go from the two, I mean, it's not even that much more expensive to do it. It's really valuable. But when they have a month or two and they go, oh, we're struggling to get guests, And I go, why? It's like, well, Alan can't do that. He's got 5 meetings today. He's not got time to actually do any outreach. And I go, okay, well, so you to employ somebody just to do that is going to cost you this, plus, do you know what I mean, all the national insurance and costs that have gone up. It's like, why don't you just up it? You're saving way more money and you know it's done at the end of the day, and you come on that 1 day a month, film 4 episodes or whatever it is, and you're on your way out. And then you just come in the next month and the next month, and they go, God, actually, yeah, that is value for money.
Yeah.
Like, why have we been doing it ourselves? And do you know what I mean, kind of playing catch up?
Well, that in a nutshell is how we help people fill their pipeline. So I'm curious, what do you think is one of the best ways to fill a pipeline?
If I'm completely honest, it really depends on your business. So let's just stick with e-commerce, for example, okay? So one of the best ways that I've seen is partnerships. So partnering with other agencies or other tech partners, because you can refer each other work.
Optimizing referrals.
Yeah.
Love
just
it.
Building those relationships. So like someone else, I won't mention his name. I don't know if he'll appreciate it or not, but he shared something a while ago in regards to what his year looked like, where everything came from. I think they had 27 new acquisitions during the course of a year as a Shopify dev agency. It was pretty good, to be fair. You're doing like a couple, like an account every kind of 2 weeks at that rate. Mm-hmm. So, but he said, I think it was like 52% or something like that. 14 out of 27, so just slightly over, was partnership referrals. was where I came from. But what they do as well at the agency, they do a lot of eventing, a lot of events. So there's a lot of UGC content. There's a lot of like noise as well online in regards to LinkedIn or other social media channels. And they've really kind of created a really good brand because they're really driven and really awesome group of people. And that's what it is. Partnerships is key. I really think partnerships is key. Event curation is key as well. If you put on some really cool events, no matter how often it is, and you nail it, then people will come back and want more.
Do you know, we've seen that a lot. Everyone's got the different ways of doing it, but we've spoken to quite a few people, and even just referrals since we started shooting this podcast. They create an audience one way or another, whether it's starting their own podcast, whether it's putting on events, stuff like that. And they become the leader of that. As I said to Dan in the pit the other day, he's the overlord of the pit. So it's basically, you just create a community of some sort.
Exactly.
People are making money from setting up referrals. Like, because nothing is ever going to compare to Alan, meet Ryan. Oh, all right, yeah. That's just the most effective thing in the world.
Face-to-face.
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 It's kind of like what you mentioned about with the digital facilitators. It's the vetting. If you get an introduction, a warm intro, Joe, meet Alan, you guys need to have a conversation. You've done the vetting. Rather than going on Google or LinkedIn and thinking, oh, right, there's 5 people within my area that are all in the same role, offer the same product. Right, I'm going to talk to you. Or I'm going to talk to you because I trust you already. There's that little bit of trust. What do you think, like, what does partnerships actually mean to you when somebody says, oh, I am in charge of partnerships? Because, like, again, thrown around, like, people interpret it differently. The reason I say that, when I worked for an agency in Manchester years ago, my role was a partnerships manager. And I went to a different business and I put my details down as partnerships manager. And they were like, no, it's business development manager. And I was like, I hate that word. I hate that role because if I get
implies I want money from you.
It's very salesy. Partnerships can be taken in loads of different ways, and it's like, right, we're going to work together to do some business that's going works both ways. So what would you say partnerships means?
I think partnership basically means that first and foremost, it's a very powerful thing. Pre-pandemic, it wasn't as big in the UK or Europe. It was very Americanized. And that's very big in America. But I think since the pandemic, that's really accelerated things because it's a lot more friendly.
Yep.
It's not as pushy. It's definitely a lot more of a fun environment. There's lots of traveling, lots of opportunities. You just got to do the circuit and then find out what works for you. But it really is one of those where you have to, you have to really click. You have to really kind of, if you're really like, introverted, I don't think partnerships is for you in a sense because you really got to get out there, you got to have some fun, you got to be going paintballing the odd time or this or that, the other. But also as well, it's a big money spinner as well because if you're hosting your own event, you're going to get your partners to sponsor the event, so they're really invested into you. But if they're spending thousands of pounds or tens of thousands of pounds annually with you, you need to make sure that they're getting something back. But also you got to be mindful on the partnership front, not everyone's the same. You have to put people in different buckets. You have the people like, do you know what? I'm going to do an event and I'm going to take everyone to see Man United at Old Trafford. It's like, okay, cool. That's nice for some people. This person, they like the money side. Cool. They're happy with a 50-50 lifetime rev share or 25% or whatever it is. This person, I know for a fact that they're dying to do their driving lessons, but they just had a child and they don't really have the time nor the money to do so. They're in a bit of a sticky patch. Okay, cool. If that person gets me, I know they've got a really like big network and they can really help me accelerate my business. I'm going to go and spend £500 and get them some driving lessons. Say, there you go. I knew you want some driving lessons. Like, but we haven't done any business together. Sometimes you got to take some risks in regards to not brown nosing anyone, but showing people that you listen and that you care, because we all know you got a life inside and outside of work. But partnerships is, for me, it's the community. It's like a family, right? But partnership plays a big part in it. Because at the end of the day, it's like we're all married here or in relationships. You have a partner, someone that you can trust, someone that you can fall back on. I've got partners that I can speak to in the e-commerce world or the digital community where I put a post today saying, thank you very much to so-and-so for your support this year. Because some days you feel great, some days you feel like shit. Some days business is brilliant, some days business isn't.
Yeah.
There's no 2 days the same. And partnerships really, really have your back. They help you. But you'll also find there's some bad ones as well, not going to lie. They're all just about take. And those that are take, just move on as quickly as you can. Don't try be like another person that you're not. Be yourself.
Partnerships, it's basically a way of optimizing referrals, like we say. How do you think that ties in with sales? To just increase the chances, basically.
Yeah. Well, yes and no. It does increase the chances because obviously someone's referred you, someone that's trusted. But you have to be mindful as well, not just to refer people in for the sake of keeping your friend happy. You have to make sure that it's the right move for your business, because if that referral goes wonky, makes you look bad as a company. So you
That's exactly right.
Very, 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 very careful what you do and what you wish for.
Yeah. Right, I do want to bring this to a close soon, but can you give us just some golden advice? Anything that you would say most companies are doing, they're doing it wrong, and you would walk in there and be like, if you do this, you make this change, it's going to get you on the right track.
Bring in someone external just to get an overview of your company and just have a look under the hood, what's working, what's not working, get some proper solid advice. You don't need to pay thousands of pounds to people like, oh, I'll come in, I'll have a look at your company. I do a 10 grand day rate retainer. Oh, I would do a lot less than that, because I'm a firm believer if you help other companies thrive in the market, not just survive, then they will come back to you time and time again, because that will then spread like wildfire, saying, you know what, Alan's come in, he's done X, Y, Z for us, happy days, recommend to other people. But I think just don't continue as is. You need to look under the hood every 3 to 6 months to see if there is any rotten apples, or, if you're losing too much cash or your processes aren't right. For example, just a quick example, I know we're wrapping up, but don't have monthly retainers, because the client can leave you any time. And if you've done lots of good work, then what's stopping them from moving at any time, moving it in-house, and you lose the contract? Just make sure you have all your KPIs and your contracts and all your processes ironclad.
Do you find people don't want to hear this sometimes? Sometimes someone might have a really good idea of, actually, that's not great. Oh, you could do with improving that. And do you find people go,
yeah, they're proud.
Oh man, I don't want to hear it.
They're proud. It's their baby.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, as company owners, it's their baby. But I know so many CEOs or founders or MDs that have had to go back and do business development. They had to jump back in the back end because it's not worked out with their other BDs or their other staff members for various different reasons. Someone said, oh, I want a head of business development for the whole of the UK. Cool. What are you offering? 38 grand. I'm like, mate, that's so weak. Anyone that's decent and worth their salt, anywhere from 60 to 80. If they're in London, 80 to 100. And I know that sounds like mental money, but that's why you have KPIs in place. Like my consultancy work, I always say to people, if anyone hires me as a fractional consultant, the minimum I want to deliver in a 12-month period is 3x the investment minimum, plus pipeline on top. So they get the money back. If they don't, they get a rebate of X amount.
Love it.
That's why I operate.
I'll tell you what, Alan, we'll call it there. Thank you so much. We learned a lot, and yeah, thank you.
No worries. Cheers, guys.
Cheers
Thank you.
Coming in, mate.
Thank you.